Hello and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Militarum Tempestus tactics video. So today we will be continuing our basic tactics series, everything you need to know series about Militarum Tempestus. This will probably be one of the last series videos in the series. We've talked about all the units now, we've talked about all the weapon options. The last thing we need to talk about is the principal transport of the Militarum Tempestus. Then we've covered all units and weapon options. And then there'll be one or two videos about sort of in-depth tactics, but we're coming to the end of the Everything You Need to Know series. And before we jump into this video, I want to say a super huge thank you to Jason Azcona, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, for sending in these absolutely lovely pictures, absolutely fantastic pictures of his Militarum Tempestus army. I especially like the fact that they are purging some Xenos scum, and my most hated Xenos, the Tau. And yeah, these are just really well done. I really like the mix. I can see there's some Anvil Industry parts in there. I think there's some possibly Victoria miniature parts in there as well, but I know there's some Anvil stuff in there. I really like the guys with the night vision goggles, and I really like the guys with the plasma gun, the cape, or camo cloak I should say, and the balaclava with sort of the ghost skull symbol on it. That's absolutely fantastic. Really think these ones are really cool. So thank you, Jason, for sending these in. Absolutely fantastic. If any of you have any pictures you want to send to me, and I might use them in my videos if they're really cool, please put them on, post them on my Facebook timeline and I'll take a look. And if they're cool, I will use them, if that's okay with you. So yeah, once again, I just want to say I'm still suffering from a bit of a cough, so apologies if I cough a little bit in this video. I'll try and keep it to a minimum. But without further ado, let's talk ourselves some Tauroxes. So, the Taurox Prime is a really good vehicle. I'm just going to preface it now. It has multiple configurations and weapon options that you can take on it. And generally it fits the modus operandi, I hope I'm using that phrase correctly, of the Tempest, which is to hit hard, hit fast, but make sure you hit hard enough so the enemy doesn't hurt you back, because it's quite flimsy as far as guard vehicles go. So, the Taurox Prime, its stats are weapon skill 6+, we don't care weapon skill, but ballistic skill 3+. It's got 10 wounds. It's only toughness 6, but it has a 3+ armor save, but it has a 14-inch movement. So, it's fast, and it's got a good ballistic skill, which means it's going to hit hard, but it's only got 10 wounds and it's only toughness 6. So it is a little fragile. And a 3+ save, it's okay. It's no better than in most guard vehicles. So there's two ways you want to run. There's two ways you really want to run your Taurox. Okay. One, you want to use it as a gunboat, a gun platform. Basically fire support. And the second way you want to use it is almost like as a blitzkrieg vehicle. You want to be smashing it forward into the enemy, disembarking your scions and blazing away, just absolutely scything the enemy down. So they're the two ways you really want to be using it. Now, I've talked about this in the past, but that basically how I nickname this is you have Punchy Primes and you have Dakka Primes. Punchy Primes are the ones that provide the long-range punch to your army. Now, bearing in mind we're talking about a pure Scion army here. If you're taking a mix of Guard and Scions, there are better choices than the Taurox Prime as a fire support unit. But if you're going pure Scions, then the Taurox, you have to make the Taurox work as a fire support vehicle. And especially to cover one of the gaps that the Scions struggle with, which is long-range anti-tank. Sure, the Scions have got all the close-range firepower that anyone could want and need, but long-range firepower is a little different. And the only unit that can really fill that role is the Taurox Prime. Because although I bang on about Scions being an in-your-face, aggressive army, there will be some situations. Maybe it's a custom scenario. Maybe you're playing a team game. Maybe you're just on the defensive. Maybe the way the objectives have fallen is that maybe you're playing 4 objectives or 6 objectives on a board, and 4 of them are in your deployment zone. and 2 of them are sort of midfield or in your enemy's deployment zone, that naturally lends itself to you being a more defensive player. So you're going to sometimes need long-range fire support. And the way you do that is you outfit your Taurox with long-range firepower. Now, you have essentially 2 configurations. You have the Taurox missile launcher, and you have the autocannons, and you have the Taurox battle cannon. Okay? Now, your first option for the Punchy Prime is the Taurox missile launcher, but it's an expensive bit of hardware. It's 50 points, and it's essentially a twin missile launcher. Okay, it comes with it fires 2 shots. You get crack or frag version. They're both they're both the same as a regular missile launcher. Frag is strength 4, AP minus nothing, damage 1. Crack is heavy 2, strength 8, AP minus 2, damage D6. It's 50 points for 2 missile launchers. It's expensive, but it is your only source of long range anti-tank. Now, you would twin that with autocannons, naturally. They've also got a 48 range. They've got a pretty high strength 7, 8 minus 1, 2 damage. Now, if you want a Punchy Prime on a budget, you can, instead of taking the missile launcher, you can take the Taurox battle cannon. The Taurox battle cannon is essentially a heavy D6 autocannon, but it has it's slightly different. So you have 48-inch range, heavy D6. Potential of 6 shots, which is quite nice. Average of 3 to 4. So already you got more shots than the missile launcher. You're only strength 7 though. You're only AP minus 1. So same stats as an autocannon, but you do D3 damage. Now on average, that's going to be 2 damage, but on occasion that will be 3 damage. Sometimes it'll only be 1 damage, but on average it's 2 damage. Now so naturally, if you're going to be using your Taurox Prime in this role, you're not going to be putting infantry inside it. If all you want to do is sit back with it, then you're not going to be putting infantry inside of it. However, something to bear in mind is that the Scion trait, regiment trait, means when you're within half range, if you get any 6s to hit, you get to fire again. And the half range of all these weapons is 24 inches, which is actually quite a long way. So if you think about it, I wouldn't personally use this as a long-range fire support unit. I would use this as a medium-range fire support unit. Get yourself in 24-inch range and start getting yourself some free extra shots. I mean, if you've got 2 autocannons, which is 4 shots, and a missile launcher, which is 2 shots, on average you're going to get 1 extra shot. And if you have the Taurox battle cannon, you get lucky, you could get 2 or 3 extra shots. So that starts bringing the Taurox firepower way up there. Now the Taurox battle cannon is, like I said, it's the budget option. It's only 28 points. It previously, in previous editions, it's been a bit shit, but in this edition, I think it's definitely worth consideration. I feel like the missile launcher is just slightly too expensive, and if it was up to me, I would. And I've talked about how autocannons have been making a comeback. So in the past, this weapon has been dismissed, but in the future and the present, the battle cannon could be really good. Could be very, very good. Now, the other way you want to... So, you could couple this... If you're thinking of having sort of 2,000 points of Scions, 1,000 points of fire support, 1,000 points in your face, close quarters, point-blank range firefights, how you could use the Punchy Prime is with the battle cannon, with the autocannons, get within 24-inch range and load those squads up with some longer range firepower. Maybe some hotshot volley guns. Because what this unit is going to struggle with is against masses of infantry. Or any sort of infantry, really. It's not really designed for taking that out. It's designed for light vehicle and tank hunting. So, you might want to consider putting a couple of squads of Scions in there with hotshot volley guns. And just having the long range. They're 24-inch range then. And that gives you the long range firepower. Or some plasma guns. You could plasma. There's no real point, as we've talked about. Plasma is the only weapon you should really consider on Scions. It's nice to have a variety, but realistically, plasma's all you need. So you can have these Tauroxes with their punch, combined with some Scions with their punch, and suddenly you're looking at a serious anti-tank combo. 2 of these things, or 3, with 6 squads inside. Or 4 to 6 squads, with a couple of, the Tempestus Prime with inspired tactics and all. This is one way of looking at it. 2 Punchy Primes, 2 or 3, with 4 squads of Scions with the Tempestus Prime supporting them. And what you do is you in one turn you can have all your Punchy Primes firing and getting extra shots on 6s. You have all your Scions providing long range firepower as well. And you get to give every single one of them an order because you can use inspired tactics, command rod, auto relic of Tiberius, and suddenly you've got 3 Taurox Primes, 4 squads, all providing lots of long range firepower. That's a pretty solid fire base as well. That's definitely, if you dig that into somewhere, it's going to be good. Now, the second thing is the Dakka Prime. Now, it's called the Dakka Prime because it puts out a lot of Dakka. Okay, and now what you... This is my favourite kind of Taurox. It's the only Taurox I run, but I don't run pure Militarum Tempestus. When I'm playing my Scions, I will take, about 1,000 points of them, combine it with 1,000 points of guard, and, maybe about 800 points Scions, but my Scions in that case are designed to punch hard, and my guard provide the long range fire support. And when you want your Scions to go in there and seriously fuck shit up, that's when you take the Dakka Prime. Because this thing, you take the Taurox Gatling Cannon, and you take the Hotshot Volley Guns, and you take a Storm Bolt on that thing, and that is 32 shots at close range from this tank, which is fantastic. Because the Taurox Gatling Cannon, it's 24-inch range, heavy 20, strength 4, AP. It's 20 bolter shots. The Storm Bolter gives you another 2 to 4 bolter shots, and the Hotshot Volley Guns provide you with another 8 strength 4 shots. These are AP -2, so they're going to cut through infantry. Punchy Primes are absolutely deadly. Combine that with close range, rapid fire, plasma, and first rank fire, second rank fire, Hotshot las guns, and you have a combo which will shred any infantry very, very easily. Not a lot to say about the Dakka Primes. They're fantastic. Now, one thing I want to point out that I actually forgot about, which is it's new to 8th edition, and I don't think a lot of people know about this. I've mentioned the Storm Bolter, which is good for the Dakka Prime, but if you actually read the entry for the Taurox Prime, it says this model might take a Storm Bolter or a Heavy Stubber. Now, the Taurox kit doesn't come with a Heavy Stubber, but every Chimera kit does. And so, it's actually quite interesting. You could add to your Punchy Prime with your armor piercing capability, you could add a Heavy Stubber, and it will complement the long range firepower because it's all 36-inch range on a Heavy Stubber. That's actually quite good. So it's actually don't forget about that Heavy Stubber. It's definitely worth considering on a Punchy Prime. However, like I've said, I think Dakka Primes are the superior option. They hit hard, they hit fast, they tear enemy infantry to pieces. There's what's not to like. Now, there is one last thing to say. I've talked a lot about using the Stormtrooper Doctrine regimental trait with these Dakka Primes. Now, what you have to remember is that's on a 6 to hit, you get the extra shots. Now, if you read it, now I'm just going to check this before I say it, because maybe I have been playing this incorrectly. That's the orders. Here we go. Okay, this is what's important. If a model with this doctrine is shooting a target at half range or less, it can make an extra shot with the same weapon at the same target for each hit roll of 6+ you make for that model. These extra shots do not generate any more additional shots themselves. Okay, what that means is if you move your Taurox Prime, it's going to be -1 to hit, which means it will never be able to get you on a 6+ extra shots. Okay, so remember that Taurox Primes only get half range shots, only get additional shots if they're within half range and they've stayed still. They haven't got any -1 to hit. Also means if you're facing any armies which have -1 to hit, naturally you're never going to get your extra Stormtrooper shots. So just bear that in mind. It makes it interesting. It adds an extra layer of tactical depth. Do you want to push forward aggressively with the Taurox? In which case you're seriously limiting its firepower, reducing its firepower by 16% and missing out on additional shots. Or do you stay still, blaze away at the enemy and maybe get some extra shots, but you're obviously not doing any manoeuvring. So it's things to consider. Personally, how I tend to run it is I have 3 Taurox Primes. I smash them forward into the enemy. I have deep striking units which the enemy deals with first. By the time they've dealt with those units, my second wave there, my units get out of my Taurox Primes and everything's in half range, and I just start churning out bullets. And it tends to get the job done quite nicely. That's how I tend to run it. So first turn, I'm not getting the benefit of the Doctrine. Second and third and fourth, second turn, third turn, shooting phase, I definitely am. Then I start moving around again, turn 4, turn 5. So, there you go. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.